In this video, we will show you how to replace your front window regulator assembly. Just a quick note, you want to make sure you have your window down approximately 4.5 inches. Aside from that, you're going to have to remove a whole bunch of rivets on the inside of the door. Make sure you either have some brand new rivets or some mounting nuts and bolts. Now let's get started. Okay friends, let's get started on our job. We'll find the inside door handle and continue on right on the inside here. Use a small pocket screwdriver. You're going to find a trap door. Carefully get in between this area and remove it. You'll see that you have 2 locking clips on that. Just give it a quick inspection and set it aside. Behind that, you're going to find that you have a T27 head screw right here. It's essentially shaped like a star. Let's remove this. Now let's continue on with a plastic trim tool. Along the top and bottom of this inside handle, there's going to be 2 locking tabs. One approximately right here, and another right there as far as the top. Let's carefully use that trim tool and try to get in between this area, gently separating it. Once you have it off of there, you should be able to pull it right off. We'll have a look at the back. You can see those locking tabs. Now let's move along to this area. To remove this, continue on with your trim tool. You'll find along the front area of this, there's a small slot. Carefully get in between this area and gently separate it by lifting it up. There we are. You can see that it has some locking tabs coming across the forward side here, and on the other side, it also has locking tabs. Let's start removing all of the wiring harnesses from the back side. To remove each of these, you're going to have to squeeze on the locking tab. They should be approximately in the center of each of the wiring connectors. Squeeze it in, pull it right off of there. Once you have it removed, give it a quick check for corrosion. Assuming it looks good, set it aside and continue on. Set that aside. With that out of the way, let's have a look down inside this area. You're going to find one 7mm headed bolt right here. Remove it. Now we can start removing our other 3 mounting bolts that hold the door panel on. You'll find one right here and then 2 down along the bottom of the panel. Remove all 3 using your 7mm. Let's move down along the bottom. We'll find our other 2. Now let's move to the top forward side of the door panel. You're going to find this plastic piece right here. Use a plastic trim tool to carefully remove it. You can tell it has 1 locking tab, and along the bottom it has this hook that swerves underneath the door panel itself. Now that we have all those out of there, carefully grab onto that door panel. We're going to lift it straight up, paying attention to our door lock along the top. Now let's start removing the speaker from the door. For this, we're going to remove our 3 Phillips head screws holding it in place. At this point, you can go ahead and disconnect the speaker to set it aside. Now we can continue on to this area right along here. Remove each of these 2 rivets. We'll continue with our hammer and punch to drive these out. Once you have the centers out, continue on with your 3/8 drill bit. We'll drill off the head. Move along to your bottom forward corner of the door. Use a 5.5mm to remove these 2 bolts. Now we can continue on by grabbing onto the unit. Right where my thumb is, there's a little squeeze tab. Grab that tab and pull this away from the door. Continue on by removing your weather barrier. Continue on to removing this area right here, removing these 3 rivets holding it in place. Now that we have this broken free, you don't necessarily have to remove it. You can just go ahead and pivot it aside. Now let's move along to this area, removing 3 more rivets. Pay attention to this area. I'll reach inside, lift this up, and slide it out and away from the door. Move along to the wiring. Now we can continue on to removing the two rivets that hold the window to the window regulator. One's right out in the open, right here. The other one's directly behind this area. Let's carefully remove the pair. We are going to be reusing this plastic piece here. Remove your existing rivet. Hold on to this. Just drive out the rest of that rivet in there. Reach inside and remove that plastic bushing from the back side of the window. Now make sure you're holding the window up. You're going to have to carefully get in between the metal part of the window regulator and the window, gently separate it. We can carefully pull this down and remove the plastic piece from in between that area. Do the same over here. There it is. Take hold of that window and lift it up and out of the door. Set that aside. Now we can continue removing the last two rivets that hold the window regulator to the door. Once we have those out, we'll move to the top and remove our two mounting nuts. Now we can make our way to the top with an 11mm to remove each of these two mounting nuts. Carefully reach inside your door, grab onto the window regulator assembly. We're going to have to push it away towards the outer aspect of the door to remove the studs from the top. Then we can start removing it through this lower hole. There it is, friends. All right, let's get ready to install our brand new window regulator assembly. Carefully slide this into the door. We'll swing this portion of the window regulator assembly up into its mounting point. Start on each of those two 11mm mounting nuts. Before you tighten those, move down to the bottom. Put in your mounting hardware, whether you're using rivets or new bolts. I'm using bolts. Slide them through. We'll put the nut through from the back side here. Do the same to the other. Assuming you're using nuts and bolts, we'll hold the nut on the back side with a wrench and tighten up the forward side. Make your way up to the top and tighten those two 11mm nuts. Reach inside the door, we'll grab onto that window regulator with the motor and slide it into place. Once you have it lined up, continue on with your mounting hardware. Start that one in there. Put on our mounting nut. Before you tighten any of your mounting hardware, make sure you start each of them first. Snug them up. Let's continue on with the wiring for the window motor. You have to pay special attention when you're hooking this up. When you bring it all the way over to this square area, make sure you put it in between the window regulator cable and this area of the door. You don't want it flopping around inside the door where it could potentially get caught on the window as it maneuvers up and down. Let's lock this in. Listen for a click, give it a tug to make sure it's secure. Now it's time to start reconnecting the window switch to the blue and green connector. This is only going to be temporary. Once you've done this, continue on by putting the key in the on position. Now we can start bringing the window regulator up to the position where we can access through this hole for our mounting hardware. There we are. Remove the key from the ignition. Disconnect your window switch, set that aside. Let's prepare our window for installation. Take your plastic pieces. You'll notice that two of the plastic pieces have the metallic washer on them. We want the side with the metallic washer on the outside of the window, so if you were sitting inside the car, it would be facing on the outside. Take the plastic piece without the metallic washer and clip it into the center of the other. Let's do the same to the other one. Now let's make our way back over to the door. We'll start sliding the forward part of the window down into the door. Making our way down to the plastic pieces. At this point, you're going to have to carefully put your fingers in here, separate the rubber, and slide it down into the door. Now we'll gently guide this down into the proper position, setting it onto the window regulator. Do not let the glass go. It can fall into the door and potentially break. From inside here, we'll align our plastic pieces with the window regulator. Put in some mounting hardware. Slide that right on through. Start the nut on there. Do the same to the other. Let's continue on the other side. This one's a little bit harder to reach. Start the mounting nut on there. Now that they're in there, I'll hold the nut with a wrench and snug up the bolt. Do the same to the other. Now let's test its functionality. Reconnect the window switch. Put the key in the on position. Test the window functionality. Make sure you keep your hands away from the window. Perfect. Remove the key and disconnect your window switch. Let's make our way up here. Put this back into position, start in your mounting hardware, and then snug it up. Continue on by installing your vapor barrier. Get this lined up with its original position. You can tell you have the squared out area here, fits into there. Bring this straight across the door, pressing the butyl tape into position. We'll come down here, put that down. Make sure you have your wiring out here. Just press this up against the door for now. As we come over here, you want to make sure that you grab onto this wiring as well. Now let's move along to this area. You have your alignment tabs along the back. We'll slide this into position, making sure that we lock in our locking tab on this side, little squeeze tab there. After that, you can put in your two 5.5mm mounting bolts. Let's get that aligned. Snug them up. Let's continue on with this metal bracket. Make sure you have it in the proper position, so you have this mounting bolt hole facing towards the front of the vehicle. Once you have it in there, we'll continue on with our mounting hardware. To gain access along the backside here, just carefully pull down on the vapor barrier, and then you can put on your mounting nut. We'll do the same on this side. Snug them up. Put this back in its original position. Now it's time to reinstall the door speaker. On the back side, make sure you reconnect the wiring harness. We'll slide it in, listen for a click, make sure that's secure. Continue on by lining up the door speaker with the door. Start in all 3 of your Phillips head screws. After each of them are started, you can go ahead and snug it up. All right, it's time to reinstall the door panel. Let's start down at the bottom at the trunk release switch. Listen for a click, give it a tug. We're going to take this bundle of wires and slide it up and through the outside of the door panel. With that up there, we can continue on down along here. We'll connect these in. Get the larger one in there first. Move along to the smaller one. Now we can take the door panel. We're going to have to lift it up nice and high so we can get up and over the door lock. You also want to pay attention to the door panel itself. It has several hooks, as you can see, making its way all the way around. They need to fit into their corresponding holes and then slide down into the locked position. That door lock in position there. Once the door panel's in place, continue on putting in your mounting screw in this area. Let's get this installed. We'll start with the mirror switch. Continue on to your window switch. And now the door lock switch. Now we can slide this into the door, paying attention to this area. You need to roll it in, starting here, and then bring it down along the front. Let's install our inside door handle. Slide it into position. Once you have it in place, continue on with your 1T27 mounting bolt. Make sure it's nice and tight. Put on your plastic trap door. We can continue on by putting in our 3 mounting screws. Get these lower ones in as well. Let's move up to the top and reinstall this corner piece. You've got this plastic hook that needs to slide behind the door panel. Okay friends, we've got everything back together. Let's just test its functionality one last time. Put the key in the on position and press on the switch. Perfect. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.